Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Wednesday's Talking Town. It is, of course, hump day, and we are here to get you over that hump and see you towards the weekend. It is Wednesday evening. I am the Gov, and I'd like you to do one of three things this evening. First of all, enjoy the show. That comes to standard. But the other two things are hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're brand new. But if you're not new, if you've been here a while, whether you've hit subscribe or not, whether you want to or don't, the like button, please do smash the life out that thumbs up button. It really does help. Lots of comments coming in. Get active, get involved via the live chat. It's there to do so. We will try and incorporate as many live comments into the next 30 to 60 minutes as we possibly can. In fact, using them often as a talking point. So do get your opinion heard. It is the chance for you guys to have your say unfiltered. We've got Phil Blundell in the room. Sorry, good evening, guys. We now need 9 points from the next 3 games. Thank you for the comment, Phil. We've got the 3-game prediction coming up, so it'll be interesting to see what other people think, how people feel, what the contributors think, what they feel. But I've just started your comment. We'll certainly come back to it. Stephen Pray won 3 in a row before. We have now beefed up our attack. We are more than capable of doing it again. Matt Stannard, who's off to the car park of Oxford Saturday? Another ground like Wickham where the car park outshines the ground. 3 sides, obviously. A club that's clearly outgrown their stadium. As people will know who have watched our stuff before, not my favourite side, I have to be honest. Phil, if we get 9 points in the next 3 games, we'll be on 60 points of the 29 games, more than 2 points a game. Okay, yeah, absolutely. I've got a lovely stat analysis I was sent, which I will probably be using on Friday evening show. To be brutally honest with you, because I've not had a chance to fully read it, fully digest it. But it's from our friend Andy Barrell. Been sending me them through the year. Looking forward to really getting my eyeballs around it, and then we'll bring it to Friday's show in terms of what's needed. Where are we? Are we a million miles away? Because sometimes you can be a little bit, pessimistic. Some of us can be overly optimistic. Zed, Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday drew. We beat Wednesday. We're 1 point above Wednesday and 5 behind Plymouth, 1 game in hand. Not too bad. I like it. A bit of positivity coming through. Optimism. Shall we call it, shall we? Sharon Guest, hello everyone. Usual subject here tonight. Hope you're enjoying your good. I certainly am. She is beautiful. Thank you very much, Sharon. It's a lovely, lovely comment. So this evening, this is what we've got coming up for you. If your Matt Penny returns, any future for Penny at Town? Would love your thoughts on that one. Positions we still need. Where would you like to see Ashton direct his attention and strengthen the squad, the starting 11, both where do they need to be? Obviously, Blue Action moving to coupled stand block A for the Burnley game. We'll get some thoughts on that one. 1 of them for Oxford and the next 3. Right. Before we go any further, I do, of course, ask if you should want to, if you can, become a Talking Town 5th standard today. Hit the join button on YouTube. It's a lovely button. It says join. It gives you 2 packages to choose from, or head to Ko-Fi, sign yourself up. You put the amount in, and you can cancel at any point on both. The choice is entirely yours. But please, if you can, give me your money. Emerson Fairweather. For me, Hurst looks an upgrade on Ladapo. Ooh. I'm going to star that comment, Emerson. I am going to star that because I think that's a big, big comment. After what? What was Hurst given? 11 minutes Saturday? 11? Okay, interesting. Introducing my first contributor. He is somebody who hasn't got an intro yet. Why? Well, I've been busy having babies. But he's a man, he's a myth, he's a legend. He's, of course, our Brandon Dan Carter. How are you, sir?
Not bad, thank you. Yourself? Tired?
Good man. Yes and no.
No?
Yes and no.
Oh.
I will say yes, but my wife would probably say you shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be. Yeah, absolutely.
Make of that what you will.
I get that.
But I did go for a haircut today. Looking good.
You do look good.
Mental health is physical health. That's what
Have you had a haircut or have you just been ripping your hair out? That's the question. I guess we'll never know.
No, definitely had a haircut. Definitely had a haircut. Right. I was there for just over an hour, which made
Take your time. Take your time.
She was like, where you been? Barbers. What, all that time? Like, no, I've been seeing my mistress. But,
look this good. Look this good takes time.
Absolutely. I mean, it does.
Absolutely.
It does. It really does. It really, really does. Brandon, we've got a big comment there from Emerson. He got 20 minutes. Hurst, Ladapo. For Emerson, Hurst is already looking an upgrade on the Fredster. What are your thoughts on that one?
I don't know whether we've seen enough of him. I think in terms of what we've seen maybe previously against Ipswich and through sort of film of other games that he's played in, goals he scored elsewhere, I think he might have sort of better traits in terms of like natural traits, in terms of maybe he's a bit quicker by the looks of it. He's a bit bigger, but he has a lot to learn in this system to get to the point where the Dapo took a good 8 games before we started to see I'd say the best of him. And I thought the Dapo, outside of 2 mistakes where he's gone for goal instead of passing, was probably on par with our best players on the pitch on Saturday. So yeah, I think in terms of ceilings, I think Hurst has got a much higher ceiling. I think Hurst can play at a much higher level, but he needs to get there. He needs the minutes to get there. I don't think he is right now. That's how.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
No, okay, fair. Big Fred, obviously second top goal scorer for Town at the moment. 9 goals, 2 assists. It's not having a bad year by any stretch. He's having perhaps a year that many would have forecast when he was signed. I don't know, but 9 goals is not a bad return, really, is it?
For an Ipswich striker, I mean, how many strikes have we had in my lifetime? I'm 23. How many strikes have we had get to 20 goals? The only one I can think of
is the issue, though,
Murphy.
isn't it? The fact, yeah, exactly, and that is the issue, really. When you look at the goal scoring charts, the second striker on the closest to him is Caden Jackson on 3, which is a massive drop off from 9 to 3.
Yeah, and I think obviously what you've got to take into account is every other team really in this league, their front 4 sort of attackers are very much cemented in place. Outside of Ladapo and Chaplin, I think everyone else has probably played about half and half, maybe Harness sort of closest to them in that sort of respect. But yeah, I think that our rotation sometimes maybe does hinder the fact that attackers can't sort of build on good games, because then the next game they're going to be sat down. But obviously we've debated this on this platform plenty of times this year, but it's what McKenna has. And when you have this amount of attacking quality, you've got to give everyone minutes somehow. And obviously it is a different, like for example, this week you might want someone like Aluko who's going to be better on the ball, keeping possession, rather than other weeks when he's gone for, the likes of Edwards, Jackson, when he wants to be more direct and get players in behind slower defences. So he's got plenty of clubs in the bag, as Rich would say. That's what he's got, so he has to use them.
Yeah, absolutely. He does like that saying, there's old Rich, doesn't he? Plenty of clubs in the bag. Right, joining and completing the lineup. This man does have an intro. I'm going to ask him about a player who's just returned to the football club and has he got a future here at it. The Peaky one, Mark Tuxford.
Well, I mean, I try and be positive. I try and look at it from that kind of outlook a lot of the time.
There he is. Positive. He tries to be positive. Matt Penny returning to the football club from his loan spell at Motherwell. Is there a future at the football club? Peaky one for the Penny.
I don't think he gets in ahead of our, 2 left backs we've got at the moment. Obviously, Davis is one of our better players, best signing we've had this year. And then I like Lee as well. I think it's just unfortunate with Davis's form that he's not played more, and obviously has had an injury. But yeah, I don't think Penny gets ahead of those 2, really, to be honest.
Do you think he'll go out on loan or sold, sit in the squad for the next couple of, for the remainder of the season? Because obviously people was expecting him to really stay on up there, but obviously it's not happened yet anyway.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why he's on the way back, if you like, because I thought, Motherwell were quite impressed with him. I think he was doing quite well for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if, it's just a case of, having that conversation again of getting him back up there. But yeah, we'd have thought it'd happen by now. He wouldn't have to come back. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back, I suppose.
Sure. And obviously your intro said you try to be positive. You look at it from that mentality. 1-1 at the weekend. What are your thoughts following the Plymouth game?
Well, positivity was that, we had a lot of possession. I was hearing a lot of people thought that Plymouth were one of the better sides we've seen at Portman Road this year. I don't know. I think I sort of disagree a little bit with that. I don't think they were amazing. I know they had one clear-cut chance, obviously they missed. It was an absolute sitter. But, other than that, I don't know if they really troubled us as such. So I didn't think they were brilliant. But then, no one's really come to Portman Road and played off us the park. So maybe that's why they fought it. But I think the positives are that we have the possession, but again, we can't seem to take our chances. Whoever's playing, really, to be honest, it seems to be kind of McKenna, tinker man, if you like, in a way. But I was impressed with Hurst when he came on. I thought he looked really good. Adds that kind of power, and I didn't realise how quick he was, to be honest. So I was surprised by that. But generally, I'm not surprised though, Gov. I'm not surprised by the fact that we let another goal in. That must be what, fourth, fifth, sixth time even that we've done that this year. And yeah, it was so disappointing, but I wasn't surprised. It was that sort of different kind of bitter taste in my mouth as I was walking out of the ground. And I just thought, I'm not surprised by this. This is Ipswich. We seem to bottle it in the last remaining minutes of the game. And yeah, it was a deflection, and yeah, it might have been a great shot, but how many times has that happened? How many times have we took our foot off the gas and let teams attack us when actually we should be going for another one to kill the game off as such? So yeah, there's something in the recent months and weeks that's just not sitting right with me in how McKenna's kind of setting that up in the last kind of final third of the game, if you like, and that we just seem to be capitulating these games. And these are really important, points that we need to have on the board. And I saw someone put on Twitter the other day about how many points we have lost from kind of winning positions, and it's quite scary, to be honest. And that's, the table doesn't lie. We're in third for a reason now. So,
Yeah, is there a mentality issue, do you think? Because you say there's something issue, is not quite there at the football club. Is it a mentality thing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't like to say so because, Ashton's come in and, breathed a new fresh life really into the club. But it seems to be the Ipswich way at the moment where, how many times have we done that over the years where we've conceded in the last minutes? I know every club does it, but it just seems to be quite a lot with us. And it just becomes frustrating, and it's not surprising. That's the thing that's really shocking me, is that it's just not surprising anymore. It just seems to be a normal thing that Ipswich seem to be doing that. And the fact it's happened more than 2 or 3 times. You can forgive it if it's once or twice a year, but Charlton and bloody Lincoln and all these teams that we've played and we should be getting these points off them quite comfortably. It's just shocking.
Yeah,
but yeah,
the window is still open, Brandon. Where would you be looking to rectify maybe the issues that are starting to present themselves? Symptoms of maybe an underlying cause, but where would you be looking to, if anywhere? Maybe you think this squad is perfectly good enough and we're going to get it together. Is there any way particularly you're looking straight away?
I think it's a tricky one. I think the only one that I would maybe circle and say, if we can get this done, then definitely get it done, would be right back. I think outside of Donasian, you then go to Vincent Young. They're 2 very, very different players. Donasian has got a bit more physicality about him, and as he I think it was more so last Saturday a 5 than it has been all season in terms of Burns and Davis playing as wing backs. I don't think we have another player who's that sort of hybrid right-sided who could play as a right back if we're at 4 and a right centre back as a 3. So it might be worth looking into that. I think the only other thing that I would look into, because you've got to remember that if you look at the 6 players that weren't even in the squad on Saturday, you have to think, if we're going to bring someone in, then that means that we really need to be getting rid of someone. You can't juggle that many. We haven't really got many slots left either on the old registration. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went for someone. Maybe if it was a young right back on loan from a Premier League club, something like that. But I don't know. The only other thing I'd be doing, if you can't sign a right back, when Burnley come to Portman Road, if Scott Twine doesn't manage to start, maybe I'd if I was Kieran McKenna, poker, give company the old elbow. How about Scott Twine? I'd give him some minutes because I think McKenna looks at traits, doesn't he? He looks at traits that aren't in the current squad that he maybe be able to get from someone if it's not in the squad already. And for me, that is sort of a right foot dead ball specialist. I think Ipswich haven't had one of them in too long. I think Evans has done all right in various sort of slots, like that ball he put in at Portsmouth is the only one I can really think of that he's struck or crossed in that's led to a goal. So it'll be something like that, it'll be a luxury signing if not a right back for me.
Yeah, but before I come to Tux, the same question: would a right back, if it's a young lad on loan from the Premier League, is he coming in to compete? Is he coming in as cover? Because we've had a young right back on loan from the Premier League in recent seasons, Luke Matheson.
I think it'd be a completely different profile for me. Like I saw a couple of people mentioning some like is it Harry Clark, 21-year-old who used to be a town sort of youth player. He's built like a bloody brick shithouse, and he plays at right back, and that's the sort of player that if someone's through the door who plays a similar way to Donatian, that will instantly be competition for him, which might then boost his output. I think it sort of worked maybe the other way with the Dapo on Saturday. I sort of said to my mate, I said, if we hadn't signed Broadhead and Hurst, the Dapo would have had 2 assists because he wouldn't have felt that he needed a goal to sort of keep his place in the 2 occasions that he could have squared to Chaplin, to Burns. I thought that might have been the pressure of someone breathing down his neck a little bit on the bench. But, just someone through the building at right back gives Donatian a little bit of a kick up the arse. And if it doesn't improve his performances, then you have someone who will play the role similar to him rather than Vincent Young, who plays it for me completely different.
Okay. Chuck, same question to yourself. Obviously, where do you look to rectify the current issues you're seeing and the rest of the squad?
I think maybe some of it is just in the way we're set up, and I think Brandon mentioned it earlier, where we seem to sort of set up with the 5, and I think it works for us in certain games. And then I think if we then play kind of those kind of wingers, maybe like an Edwards on the wing, then I think that actually stops Davis from marauding forward a little bit. So I feel like we need to go back to basics a little bit. Like what we were doing was good, so I feel like we need to go back to that kind of standard. And I think some of that is in the way that we play. But you know what McKenna's like. He will set up against a different opposition, different times really. So it's not really player for player. It's more player for the team. So yeah, I think in terms of any kind of new signings coming through, then I think it does worry me a little bit with because that's a settled kind of back 5. It sort of essentially picks itself at the moment. But what happens when we get an injury or a suspension or something like that? And I really like Edmondson, and I think he could come in and do a job probably on the left side, but it's that right side for me. And I don't think KBY has been the player he was. Again, it's a very different position for him because I think he would probably slot into a kind of a centre back, right wing back role, that kind of player. But he just doesn't seem to be doing it for me as much. He just looks a bit negative at the moment for me. Doesn't seem to want to go forward as much. But yeah, I think in answer to your question, I don't know. I think ultimately it's the way we're playing at the moment, the way we're setting up against these teams is perhaps a little bit negative. I'd say one thing that really frustrates me at the moment is that we don't seem to be moving for the ball. If someone's got the ball and they're looking for a pass, we don't seem to be moving a lot. Especially when it's from a throw-in or a set piece or something like that, we seem to be very static. I'm not really sure why that is. Again, I don't know if that's a tactic, but we just don't seem to be wanting the ball as much as we were. And I don't know whether that's players marking tightly again, players being found out a little bit more. But generally, I just think we're lacking there a little bit.
Yeah. Would either of you look to bring an 8 in, maybe move Morsey to that enforcer role? Because I'm not overly impressed with the statistical impressions we're getting from Morsey and Evans. 3 goals apiece, 3 or 4 assists each. It's hardly, for me at this point, I'd want my 8, which is Morsey, to be on probably 5, at least between 5 to 7 goals. If for a promotion campaign, he's had the chances to. You can't say there's not been a game where you've not at least seen one Morsey daisy cutter. You've seen, even on Saturday against Plymouth, his driving run. It's a real poor finish at the end.
Yeah,
I don't know if I get enough out of that.
Not for me. I think when they signed Luongo on a free, I think that just leaves too many centre midfielders in the build. And even if it is like you have 4 there and only 3 of them at the moment make a match day squad, And I think that Evans and Morsey, they've played together a lot. Other than Saturday, I think they've won every game in the middle of the park for me. I think on Saturday we did lose the battle in the middle of the park quite dramatically, to be honest. I think the only players that had a decent game, funny enough for me, were the front three of Chaplin, Harness, the Dapo, and then Wolfie at the back. I think everyone else weren't at their usual standards, and that starts with the middle. We didn't win a second ball, I think, all the first half. And to Tux's point in terms of movement, I agree that only Chaplin really seems to be the one buzzing around trying to make gaps and pass lanes for people to pass to. But that is part of the problem. I think Harness has just come back from injury, and although he's had sort of spurts of being positive, receiving the ball on the back foot, turning, running at defenders, he hasn't had the same sort of awareness for me as he did before in terms of runs, people playing off him. But Humphreys is an option as well. I think if you sign another midfielder, that also will probably take minutes away from him, and that's not something that I think he deserves. If anything, I think I'd go with Morsey and Evans this week, and then Humphreys for the home game against Morecambe. Obviously, you can't say that about knowing how the other two performed, and the fact that Morsey has probably got a suspension after this weekend. But no, not for me. I don't think there's enough room for another centre midfielder in the squad.
Tux?
Not at the moment. No, I think the sign of Luongo's essentially kind of confirmed that as backup, and the three ahead of him is Humphreys, Morsey, and Evans. And I think Morsey's one of your first names on the team sheet. I can't really recall a game that he hasn't missed really for McKenna in terms of starting in the league. I think I don't mind him in that kind of that forward role, but I do agree with you, Gov. I think there's points where what I like about him is that he shoots on sight, but also he needs to add to his goal tally. I feel like Evans doesn't actually do a lot of shooting, and maybe he could do a bit more. But again, if Morsey's playing that further forward, maybe he's the one who's got to fill in as the enforcer. But I think both of them cover each other quite well, and I think obviously they are the main centre mid partnership, if you like. A lot of people call for Humphreys to start, but I really like him. I think he's a quality player. But as we've seen when Evans was injured, he can't play all of the time because he is developing as a player. And it's great to see him play and start. Don't get me wrong, he starts some games, but not starting all of the games until the end of the season, because I just don't think that's good for his development as such. But when he plays, he obviously impresses. When he comes off the bench, he impresses. So, yeah, I think the two main ones are obviously Morsey and Evans. And you've got Luongo as kind of that kind of foil, if you like, if one of them get injured or suspended or whatever, because it's no doubt going to happen, obviously, with Morsey. But Humphreys has kind of got that free role and probably could play even further forward in the 10 role if needed. So, yeah, I think it's key we watch his development.
Yeah, for a statistical comparison, Humphreys has got 3 and 13, Morsey 3 and 27, and Evans 3 and 22. So the quality is there from the young lad, and I don't know if that's a really shining light on Cam, or if that's a really perhaps it's because 3 and 27, 3 and 22, not the greatest. Let's be honest, but obviously they both bring individual qualities that you can't put a statistical measure on sometimes. Okay, blue action. Move into section A of the cobble stand for the Burnley game. Any thoughts on this one? Tux, was your section 6 stander, so they'll be near.
And I'm a block A cobbled stander.
Well, there we go. We're well served tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll start with you, Tux. But what are your thoughts on that one?
I think I don't really get the sort of fanfare about why they can't be in the kind of the centre of the North Stand in section 5.
Me neither.
I thought that worked quite well, to be honest. And I'm actually in that kind of area anyway, so it wouldn't actually be too bad. But moving over to block A, then I think it's worth trialling, see how it goes. But I do think it would be better probably in the middle of in the north. But I think they've come out and said that obviously some of the way the stand is built, it just doesn't play into the acoustics. So I think that's kind of why they want to experiment maybe with the Cobbold. I think the only thing I would say is if it all moved over to block A, then you can't really see I think you've got the core kind of the noisy lot in that block A, and then you've got in the same stand the away section. So they can't really see each other, if that makes sense.
No.
I don't know if that makes any difference, but like you'd want to see the away fans reacting to your chant and all that kind of stuff, I suppose. So that would be my only sort of thought on it. But I think I'd like to see it in section 5 personally, and maybe down the front. But yeah, you can't argue with people that have had their season ticket there for a long time. You know, it's their right at the end of the day. They pay for it. So, you know, if they don't want to move, it's up to them. But I think, you know, if it just had to work like that, I think section 5 would be the best spot for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, obviously you sit in the block.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
What are you excited, trepidatious, nervous? Where are you on the move?
I don't see it working personally.
Okay. Tell me why.
A lot of families do sit in there, and that's the main word that I've said in there is sit. I think we were, after kickoff on Saturday, we were maybe stood up for 45 seconds into the game, about 5 rows into the thing, and Stuart straight away over there, please sit down, you know. And although it may sound better with singing going on in there because of the roof and things like that, that'll be the only positive that I can see coming from it. You're sort of out the way from. I think moving them out of the Sir Bobby Robson stand maybe gives it more chance of another stand being able to generate better noise, but it is going to take away from the atmosphere in Sir Bobby as well. I agree. I think in the middle behind the goal would be the ideal spot, and I don't see the block A being a good idea, because as I said, they're all going to be made to sit down, and there's going to be families and stuff in there as well, and they're not the same sort of people that you have in the Sir Bobby lower anyway. I think all the people that want to stand up and watch the whole game stood up and sing are already in Sir Bobby lower. The people who want to sit on their chairs and watch the football and enjoy it that way are in block A. The reason I'm in block A is because I like having the atmosphere of section 6, but not having to be stood up in section 6, if that makes sense. And yeah,
sense, yeah.
I don't see it working, as I said, for the reasons I've said, but I don't think after this game you're going to see them in there again.
I think ultimately you need to see that like Blue Action need to be standing. They can't be sat down. You know, when you're standing up, you generate more noise. You're able to get out of yourself more easily when you're shouting. So I think, or singing, shouting, whatever it is. But you know, I think you need to be standing, and you know, do the club talk to people in block A, and you know, find a solution where they can be moved. I don't know where they're going to be moved to, because you know, you don't want to be moved into the north stand, because the lower bit you're not allowed to have children in there anyway. So I don't know how that would work with the club, but I think ultimately my thoughts on it really originally, when I thought about ages ago, was that I would have thought that the away fans need to be nearer to the kind of the singing section, or the singing section needs to be nearer the away fans to generate that atmosphere, because it feels like the whole of the stadium then can close in on the away fans, so to speak, and it just generates more of an atmosphere. But I don't know, that might be safety reasons or what, I don't know, but that was my thoughts on it ages ago when I thought about it.
I've always thought that I don't need the away fans to be closer to this Bobby Robson stand just to see more people using various hand gestures, just to be able to see the hand gestures. Do you know what I mean? Like, we as home fans, we cover more than 3/4 of the ground. I think us generating an atmosphere has nothing to do where the away fans sit. If we improve the overall atmosphere in the ground, then the away fans will feel like that anyway. I think there's other ways to do it other than moving the away fans.
I'm with you, Tux, with what you started with, in the sense of I'm not quite sure why the central area is an off go or not happening. Surely, for those that go into the north stand, you go in under proviso that you are going to be coming out without your voice. That is the only thing you're going to be coming out without. You know, you might come out with 3 points, you might come out having 4 pints, 10 pints, 20 pints, whatever, but you ain't coming out with your voice, because you're going in there to leave it all on the 9-foot line. So I don't understand what the issue in terms of.
That's my thoughts.
People
exactly.
not singing. What's stopping these people from being the heartbeat. Do you know what I mean?
The whole reason why I went to go into the North Stand, because I had a season ticket in the Cobbold for a long time before Mick McCarthy, and then kind of became disillusioned with it all, and then sort of started up again a couple of years ago. But I think in terms of having that season ticket there, I wanted to go back into that kind of North Stand atmosphere, because I knew that I didn't want to sit in the Cobbold, because I'd probably shout and probably piss off some fans, and that's fine. You support the club however you want to support.
There is language you can use in that stand you cannot use. In my stand.
Right. And so I go into the North Stand because I can shout, swear, whatever really, and that's my way of supporting the club, I suppose. But I don't know. I think maybe some of the issue actually is that maybe the Cobbold stand, no offence to you, Gov, but maybe because there's an older generation in there.
Well, I'm 23 and I'm in there.
Well, but
he is right. It is an old.
Yeah,
that was my first thought when I read the article. I thought, I've sat in the Cobbold all my life.
Yeah,
it's an older demographic that sits in the Cobbold.
Yeah.
But carry on. So I'm with him.
But
up till now.
I go back to my original point of why I went into the North Stand, because that's where you sing. You go in there, you're going to be doing that for pretty much 90 minutes. Whereas if you go into the Cobbold, or certainly the Britannia, because that's a family stand, Cobbold, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be kind of an older generation that have gone there. They've had their season tickets for 50 plus years and all that sort of stuff. So, I guess there's stands for certain groups of fans, if you like, or demographic of fans. So to then not want Section 5, the Blue Action in Section 5 in the central area, it just doesn't I don't understand why people don't want that.
Yeah, exactly. Me neither. I do think you can be, the North Stand can be loud when you're in it, and then the rest of the stadium perhaps go, you weren't very loud through the 90. But I think a lot of that comes through the fact, such as Saturday, for example, where you had, now forgive me for if the sections are incorrect, because I've never really stood in the North Stand to know where the sections are. But sections 1 and 2 singing one song, sections 5 and 6 singing a different song, and sections whatever they are in the middle, not really singing much of any of them.
Well, that's the thing. I think if it's moved into this the kind of the central or the bottom bit of section,
you can then orchestrate it.
It all comes together. So I think because they're in section 6 in the corner at the moment, the fans maybe in section 1 can't hear what they're saying or singing, so they come up with their own chants. That's great, but then if you're singing a different
one at the same time, it just sounds very absolutely. And that is the biggest issue I've come across sat in the Cobbold stand listening. That you've got a lot of times. One part singing, I don't know, Give Us an Eye, and the other part singing Kieran McKenna's Barmy Yummy, or whatever the Kieran McKenna song is that's avoided me at the moment. That's why I don't stand in the North Stand, because I'm not a singer. Max Pitchford, as it's supporting Brummie, Portman Road is a quiet ground, chalk and cheese with Villa Park, Molyneux, etc. Metal J's atmosphere was good in the old North Stand. The away fans were in there too. Trevor says, use fake noise like the BBC last night. BBC are not known for their comedies these days, but that was comedy gold. Philip Blundell, there was a Plymouth that got the boot on save and the measly chance from the Sir Alf lower. I mean, that's also, I don't know how feasible that is in this from a policing point of view, but you could always go and try there, I guess. Obviously, near the away fans. I don't know how feasible that is though from a policing point of view. I would have to leave that up to Ashton and authorities, etc. Jason might use fake. I mean, this is an option, not fake fan noise, but a bit like the American style bloke on a platform in the middle with a megaphone starting the chants. I mean, that is an option. But I think in England particularly, we look at that and we snigger a little bit, and we think it's a little bit tin pot.
It's just a bit forced, though, isn't it? It's just very. And you could say that maybe some people have got the opinion of they don't like the drum and stuff like that. But I like the drum because it actually starts a chant and it gives it that kind of depth to it as well. So, Oh
yeah, we need a drum, a trumpet. We need the whole bloody lot, mate.
He didn't have the drum for the first, I think, 20 minutes against Oxford, or maybe the home game before that, and the atmosphere was awful. And then I think he walked up through the cobbled stand, down the stairs to where he keeps the drum in the stairs by turnstile 25. And when he got back, he started banging that drum, and the atmosphere was suddenly there. I think the drum is imperative to any atmosphere that Ipswich create at the moment, to be honest.
I'd go full American. I'd have like horse noises after every goal. I'd get
a drummer in each corner of the ground, or get a microphone on the one drum going.
Yeah,
get
on the old platform. Get the lot. I mean, Stanley wants a chainsaw. Not sure I'll go that far. Imagine the petrol fumes.
Portland Timbers, I think, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is. There we go. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Burnley at home is that one for this one. But up next is Oxford. An important game, a big game, a must-win game, a mustn't-lose game. I'll let you guys and girls assign the title to it. But first of all, let's talk about the next 3 games. Many people saying 9 points, one of which was Phil Blundell here earlier in the night. So we now need 9 points in the next 3 games. 9 on offer from the next 3. Brandon, Oxford up next. Is it a must? Is it must get 9 from 9? Is it 6 from 9? Obviously, it's Oxford. Then it's Accrington and Stanley. Is Accrington Stanley at home? Or is it
Morecambe and then Cambridge, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a fella. That's it. Morecambe and then Cambridge. Talk to me about it. What are you thinking?
I think we need to win as soon as possible to get the duck off our back in terms of all the drawing we've had. I think we do need 7 points minimum from 9. Absolute minimum. But we really need to start a win and run sooner rather than later, because it's just the nerves, isn't it? Like, the more the draws go, the more maybe if it adds another 2 points after Saturday on the table, it's just the whole atmosphere that the fans give onto the pitch when we're next playing at home to the players. It just puts more pressure on games like Morecambe, where you don't need that. You don't need the fans being all edgy until we're 3-0 up against Morecambe. So I think we do need a win. 7 points minimum out the 9 for me, and I'd be relatively happy. But 9 points, it would be lovely. We can't give any more room up, I don't think.
Tux?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I'd be saying 9, to be honest, because I just don't think we've got any room to really sort of fall anymore. I just don't want us to kind of bottle it really and, accept kind of playoffs essentially. But, we need to be winning games. We need to hope that, the other, Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday drop points here and there. And I'm sure they will across the season. I can't imagine them winning all of their games, but they're going to drop points. But we need to be there and we need to be winning games. And we're not going to win all the games until the end of the season either. But we need to be on it. We need to be playing the right players. We need to be playing the right team and making sure our new signings are settled in and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be accepting anything less than kind of 9 with these, especially just with these three games coming up, because they're winnable games. We've played them already this season, so you know what they're all about. So we've got to that time now where we've played everyone pretty much, at least once. So yeah, we're getting to that stage now. But yeah, I wouldn't be accepting anything less than 9 based on where we are currently in the league. And we can't rely on what everyone else is doing. We have to be at it. We have to be chasing it.
Yeah. Does that make this weekend? Go on, Brandon.
If we do get only 7 from the 3 I said, I think that does make the Sheffield Wednesday game that comes after the Cambridge a must win. I think we have to be picking up 10 points out of the next 12. If you ask me over 4, that would be the number that I'd settle at. I think 7 points from the next 3, as I said, I'd love 9, but all that means is that we'd have to beat Sheffield Wednesday at home for me. So that's how I've looked at it.
Yep. Okay, we've got Womble says, doesn't like the look of the horses. Matt Stannard, Hurst and Broadhead to secure Saturday, assuming Broadhead's got a new bed and sword his toothbrush. We've got 80. We need 9 points to keep pace to the top 2 and put pressure on them. Jason, we need to make sure the playoffs are an option. 2 teams behind us on great form. Michael Biggs. Please don't call us Sheffield. We are Wednesday and don't want confusing with the other lot. Chris Boyd. Well, aren't the other lot going to the Premier League? Chris Boyd. Have to. I'm joking with him. Michael. I am. I had to say 9. We can't comment. Let's be honest. Norwich are equally in the league above. I had to say 9+ points from the next 12. Given the 4th is Wednesday, we're nice to have 9 on board going into that game. But hey, it's town, and we never do it the easy way. Fair point, Trevor. We need to start winning games back to back. We need to start looking. We also need to start or stop looking over our shoulder too. I mean, Derby are making moves. That is fair. €10 from David. Thank you very much, David. Really appreciate the €10. Thanks so much for supporting the platform. The good doctor. I know Shiver Wednesday are on a bit of a buzz, but we shouldn't forget that we should have beaten them at theirs. All three doable. Need to drop the edginess and fear. They are thinking we are a tough task. Be that. Fair enough. Right. This was your team for the last home game, which obviously was Plymouth. Would you be making any changes for the trip to Oxford, Tux?
Yeah, I'd probably bring in Hurst. I think he showed just what the type of player that McKenna wants, and I think he's going to be hopefully the man that can finish off some of these chances. I say that, but I also do think that Ladapo gets a bit of unfair stick. I thought he played quite well on Saturday. But I just think that ultimately, since the summer, I think McKenna's thought that Hurst is his number one striker, even being at Blackburn. So, you know, I think for me, Hurst comes in. I'd like to see Broadhead, you know, play some part. If he's had an injury, he might not start, but you know, he might come in for a harness or something like that. But generally, I wouldn't be changing it too much as such. Just the way, as I said earlier, the way we kind of attack the game, I suppose, the way we set up. So I'd like it to be kind of the three at the back with Davis and Burns going back to kind of having that license to run forward, and supporting the likes of, you know, Chaplin and Harness in there. So yeah, I think the only real certain one I'd be bringing in is probably Hurst. See how we get on from there.
Okay, Brandon.
I'd bring the Dapo in actually for Harness. I think that one of the main problems we've had, as we sort of touched on earlier, and one of the problems we had on Saturday is we couldn't really get a foot on the ball. Everything was, it was the same for Plymouth. It was either balls in behind or it just weren't sticking. And I think that Aluko is the stickiest player we have at town. I can't say that because I've never actually touched him, but he's the most sticky player we have at town. And Oxford will want to keep the ball as well. You know, they got Brannigan, they got a couple of, and I think the way they've always played has always been a bit possession based as well. But if we have Aluko in there, get a touch of the ball more, I think I'd have Broadhead on the bench if he's all right. I don't, as Tuck said, I don't see him starting. I don't see someone missing out for injury and then going straight in to play a minimum of about 60 minutes. And I would give Hurst a game as well. I think this will be the start of the rotation for me. The only player who doesn't get rotated out at the moment for me is Chaplin. Chaplin's the only one who's a nailed-on starter for me every game in the attacking unit. So, yeah, I'd go Aluko, Chaplin. And Chaplin has also scored a lot of goals when he's played alongside Aluko in those 10s, because I think that normally puts him out on the left side rather than on the right. And then I would think about putting Fridge in, but it may be I'd rather have him at home, play at home, because I think that used to be a bit dodgy away and then used to be class at Portman Road. So I'd like to see Fridge on, if not Saturday, then Tuesday. But that would be definitely Aluko in and definitely Hurst in.
Were you surprised that Aluko wasn't on the bench on Saturday?
Yeah, I think for the reasons I just said, I'd start him. I think he would have been an ideal player to come on as well with a goal lead. He's just someone who can win a foul. He, as I said, he can sort of get on the ball and everything just sticks to him. He's a bit like Chaplin in the way that he moves as well and creates lanes for the centre midfielders, because I just didn't think we had any options at all. And Plymouth were very much pressing our weaker players on the ball. You know, that's why you saw Burgess get flummoxed a couple of times. That's why you saw Walton look like he was playing Sunday League football most of the time with his feet. It was the press meant that those players got really worked out. But if you have players like Aluko and Chaplin on the pitch together, those options just seem to be much easier to come by. So that's why I'd have him in, and that's why I would have had him on the bench on Saturday.
Okay, all right, love it. I obviously wouldn't have done, but that's me. And I'd like my players to make an impact off the bench, and I'm yet to see it from Sonny Aluko. But time will tell. George Hurst coming into the lineup, not sure on that one either, but it's not my team, it's your team. It's your two picking the 11s. So
it's actually
why
McKenna.
Not? Just a question.
It should be you two.
Why would you not have Hurst in?
Well, I'm a big fan of, well, not a big fan, but I do like Freddie. I think he's given an unfair criticism. I think when we win, a lot of times Freddie is seen as, oh, Freddie has a great game today. When we lose, it's all Freddie's fault, whether it is or it isn't. It's, oh, Freddie didn't do this, didn't do that, didn't do this. That's why we need to go and get this. If Broadhead's fine, I'd start Broadhead. He's cost a lot of money at this level. I'd play him centrally. He can play centrally. He has done for Wigan. I'd just start with Broadhead or Ladapo. That'd be my two, with Hurst, who's yet to really complete a 90 this year. I think he's done it twice off the bench, because I just like Broadhead and Ladapo more than at this moment in time. But the only person to convince me otherwise is George Hurst. So, when he plays Saturday and scores a hat-trick, I
don't think we'll see Broadhead play as a 9 at Ipswich.
I like to see. I'm not saying for that fee he can play anywhere.
I do agree. But I think the profile that McKenna likes up there is like how Freddie played. Hold up play, be someone who can play with their back to goal. And I think that Broadhead's much more get on the ball and have some room about it. And you don't generally get that as a 9.
Yeah,
possibly so. Which then obviously pushes Harness, which was also a big money signing in the summer, or pushes Burns. It's interesting. You got the permutations. But Max says, agree, Gov. Morsey, Evans, and Aluka on the same team, is that Chaplin and the striker are the only. Yeah, well, Chaplin's only goal threat, full stop. Really, I mean, when he plays well, we play well. Tends to be the theme. He's definitely the talisman of this group. As we come to the end of the show, we've got jukeboxes. Tux is not often on a Wednesday, so to ask what a jukebox was. But it's where the contributors will put forward a song. They've got 30 seconds if they need it to convince you to vote for it in the live poll. The winner then goes into the Talking Town Spotify playlist. You can find that by just searching Talking Town on Spotify. Brandon, have you actually got a song in the jukebox yet, or have you been defeated?
No, I've been robbed.
Every time.
Yeah.
So no pressure, Tux, but you've got the rest of the contributors pressure on you here, where Brandon has yet to be anybody. So we'll start with you, actually, Brandon, if that's okay. What is your jukebox entry for this evening?
This relates to another couple of sold out away ends, because our fans that follow Ipswich up and down the country never miss a beat. They never miss a beat. So I'm going Kaiser Chiefs, never miss a beat.
Okay. All right. I mean, that is as close as you want to get to a Mick Foley hometown pop, Right, I'm pleased to be here, right here in Ipswich. Woo! Like, our fans are so great, they never miss a beat. Just hand out bribes next time, Brandon, to try and win the vote.
No, look, I tried to last time. Oh, I had a brilliant song last time. Everyone in the comments apparently voted for me, but the results said bloody otherwise, didn't it?
Because they didn't. They didn't. Tux, your song, and why?
So I'm going for this song because I think it relates a lot to Ipswich fans, but it also relates well to Mark Ashton, because I think he's a guy that wants to take Ipswich and he wants to rule the world. Now, that song is Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears.
How does that go?
Everybody wants to rule the world.
It was on the World Cup advert. It was on a World Cup advert. I remember it.
One of those songs that you sort of you know, but when you try to think to yourself, how does that sound?
Everybody wants to.
There you go.
Spot on. And also, there's a nice little adage. It is my favourite song.
You should have been the one bloody singing it then, shouldn't you?
Fucking should have. Yeah, can't remember how it goes. Can't remember how it goes, but it's.
I've got the lyrics on my back actually. Tatted.
Have you?
Yeah.
Are you sure that they're the actual lyrics? I mean, you can't actually see your back, so.
No, I can't see my back, but they are the lyrics.
Fair enough. Right. Well, I'll drop the poll in. There we go. Get voting, my friends, because you've got. I mean, there's some good options there. Have you got Brandon's bribery?
No,
or
I'm
Tux's...
just gonna. I'd vote for Tux today. I think, to be fair. So,
if I could vote, I think I would, but I can't. So, but just to let you know, currently it is 67% in favour of song number 2, which is obviously the Peaky one. So we'll let that run for a couple of minutes. We are back on Friday at 8:30, I believe, without checking in the diary. I don't know where we are at the moment. I'm sleep deprived, as they say, but I'm sure we are. I'm sure I said we would. If not, we are definitely back on Saturday for the matchday ticket trip to Oxford. Do join us for the pre-game show and, of course, the post-game show. As always, I say as always, apologies on no post-game show after Plymouth, but definitely will be one this week. Got a couple of comments. Ashton is quality, says Colin Plum. Stephen would pick Brandon for the karaoke. Yeah.
My guy.
Yeah, clearly. Thank you very much, Womble. I really do appreciate that. I really do. Blue F Boy, Tux vote for song brand for the effort. Yeah, there you go. But you can't vote for both. It's currently 60-40. Score predictions then, gentlemen, as we round off. Tux, your score for this weekend, please.
It's got to be positive because you put that quote in for me now. So I'm going to go for 2-0 Ipswich.
2-0 Ipswich. I'm sorry. I was watching the YouTube stream, right, while looking at the poll, and it's obviously a second or two behind. So you spoke in my ears, but your mouth was still moving, and I was fucking confused. I was thinking, huh? Sorry. There you go. It's a bit sleep deprived. What can I say? Brandon,
Living in the multiverse.
I'm living in every universe, mate.
Yeah. I was also going to go 2-0, but as Tux has taken 2-0, I'll say 2-1.
Okay.
2 Ox. No, to Ipswich.
Don't even go there, son.
Not gonna do that.
Don't even go there. Dave says Suffolk Spider's been quiet, but we're still here. Idle pet for teens, educational, except I can't endorse that. It's an unpaid promotion. If you wanted to pay some money for a promotion, I'll be all over endorsing it. But as it is, spiders as pets, I do budgies. Ben Moore, my prediction is I'll still be at home come Monday. The doctors can't agree on what treatment to give me. 3-1 Town. Ben, we're with you. We stand with you. You know that. Right. Well, there we go. It is over. It is done. It is started. Thank you to David for the €10. Tux, you have won. You have carried off the upset. Well, it's not upset victory at this point, is it? But the victory all the same. You've carried it off, son. The rest of the contributors are uniting and clapping as one this evening, as Brandon is still yet to get a victory in the jukebox. Only one who hasn't, by the way.
You have to play to your audience. I think a lot of people that watch this are of potentially an older generation.
I said this last time, Tux, when I put I predict a riot before we played Oxford or whoever it was, when I said we're going to smash him. So I predict a riot, and everyone was like, "Oh, we love that song." But whoever I was up against put a song that was 20 years old when I was bloody born, and I lost then as well. But anyway,
maybe
it's fine.
Kaiser Chiefs are not the Talking Town viewers' favourite band.
That's actually a good point. I didn't notice that they're both Kaiser
If you went with, like, you know, Tom Hark, you get in the old Joe Royal retro connection link up in the brain.
I'll go with
Chelsea Dagger.
I'll listen to some Elvis Presley and the Beatles for the next couple of. I think I'm on next week actually.
Well, you can always listen to "You Always on My Mind."
It's fine.
You do that, Brandon. We're back on Friday.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down low and I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I felt went crazy from just the thought of you.